Hello everyone in cyber world, welcome back to another video. I'm Richard, and as you can tell, I am alone. I got some bad news. Looks like I'm going to be doing videos on my own. Well, the truth is, Jennifer got hurt. She fractured her kneecap, and so she's actually immobile and will probably be so for a while. I'm not going to have her come out and help me on projects or even bother filming. She's on crutches when she does have to move around, but the rest of the time she's sitting or laying and having to elevate her leg, and it's going to be a little while before she's able to get back in. So I'm going to take the whole projects on my own, and you'll just have to deal with me. Sorry. Maybe I'll put a cardboard image of her the next time so that those who are actually her fans instead of mine will still get to see her. All right, this week what we're actually going to do is I'm going to show you how we make some of the plaques that we do, and I'm going to go through the process, and if you wish to do the same thing and maybe start a business, maybe this will help you out and make plaques yourself. You do a better job, share with others, pay it forward, and who knows, maybe I'll take a look at your videos as well and learn from you. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. For this particular plaque, we're going to be working with some mahogany. Where the customer has requested a 7 by 15 inch plaque. In reality, we have done this before for them, and they just want some additional plaques made out for them. So a lot of this I've already pre-designed, and so I'm not going to go through the steps on showing you how we come up with designs and the software that we use on that. So this is more of, once I create the design, I can make a template that we can repeat and speed up the process for the next time, hopefully, so we don't have to spend so many hours on it each time. And every time we do a replicate of it, it gets easier and quicker for us, and so hopefully this will go a lot smoother than the first time. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to be staining this, and well, first of all, I'm sorry, we're going to need to sand this down. We're going to be doing some staining. We're going to do some routing on this to make some edges. Then we're going to get into the laser. We're going to etch some images on here. And one of the things that we like doing different from a lot of the others are people tend to do engraving on the whole thing. And yes, it looks nice. And some people are really good at engraving. And I'll confess, I have never really got the settings that come out that I really like the picture that when it's engraved. They look good, I guess, but to me it's kind of simplistic. It's like printing using a printer on wood, and it's just putting an image directly on there. It's flat, it's two-dimensional, it's kind of boring. So what we tend to do is we cut out, we'll redesign the logos, we'll do wording and whatnot, and instead of engraving it on there, we'll often cut it out in wood and glue it on. In this particular case, it is a little bit different. We're going to be engraving the wording on there. It'll be the same, so every time they want a new plaque, we'll just engrave that on there. But the logo itself, we are going to do three-dimensional. We're going to show you how we do that. right, so in this particular case, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to cut, well, I should say I already cut this out from a piece of wood that is going to be exactly like it's going to appear on the plaque itself. Now, using this, cutting it out like this every single time is a waste of wood. If you're going to run a business, you want to have as least amount of scrap that as you possibly can. The reason I did it for this particular time is just to show you that this becomes a template. What I mean by that is this is exactly how it's going to look on the plaque. You cut everything out from here. We're going to lay this onto the plaque, and then when we place everything, it becomes like I said, a template that you know exactly where everything goes. And as long as you use this each time, it's going to be placed in the same thing. So all the plaques are going to be identical. They're going to be placed the same spacing and so forth. Now, we only need to cut this out one time. The next time, if the customer wants to make more, what we'll end up doing is we can cut just this design maybe in the corner. We can maybe flip this around and cut it over here, bunch these two side by side or something. And so now we have a lot of unwasted wood that I can cut another one of these designs from for a second plaque. So the idea is let's get rid of the waste, but just for this time, we're going to cut it out just to make this template. This template, and we're going to show you how we actually use that when we glue everything back in together. For future reference, every time we are asked to do this same plaque, we're going to go ahead and just cut these things out in as small space, as tight as we can, so that we don't waste any wood. Okay, now for the actual painting. I used to actually lay these pieces on a board with a Lazy Susan that I could spin around and then paint, and it doesn't matter if I get paint over the edges on the Lazy Susan, it's a scrap wood anyways. But I found out that using cups, what I do is, it's actually a little more stable. When I put it on the Lazy Susan and spray it, the spray is actually so forceful that some of the letters, if not all the letters, get blown off while I'm actually spraying. So a solution to that is I use cups, I use a little painter's tape, roll it out, or dual-sided tape. I stick it on here, and then I can spray it very easily, and it's not going to blow away. We'll show you how we did that. Now that everything has been painted, we have a little template here as well. Instead of just taking the letters and gluing them straight within there and eyeballing it, this is what was used to cut out the letters in the first place. I now use this as a template to drop this onto the wood and glue in the letters, and so it'll be lined up almost perfect every time. Unfortunately, you have to do a little bit of adjusting in here because when the laser cut, it took off a little excess wood on all sides of the actual letter, so it doesn't fit perfectly in there. You can't just drop the letter in there and assume that it's perfectly lined. I would recommend that you push them all, the letters down to the bottom, and either all far left or all far right, so it's consistent, everything is spaced evenly, and then when it dries out, it'll be perfect. Now, one thing that you really need to realize is when you put glue on the letters and you drop them in here, oftentimes the glue will squeeze out from the sides of the letter, and then it'll get on the back of this. Now, if this is sitting inside where you're going to be gluing it onto the plaque or whatever you're actually gluing it to, this thing here can actually dry dry and stick to your board, in which case now you're kind of, well, I won't say it, you're messed up, all right? So what I often do is I will actually put in a letter, and as soon as the letter's in there, I'll take this and I'll pull it out, allow the letter to dry, and before I do the next letter. Just so that this is not sticking. If there's any glue on there, after you pull it out, you can wipe it off, and it, wood glue dries pretty quickly once you do the wiping, and then you put it back in and finish the other letters. Another thing that you can do, in this particular case it doesn't work real well, but if this is a larger piece, what I will do is I will take toothpicks and I will glue them in blank spaces, not where the letters are. And what that does is once the glue dries and the toothpicks on there, it is now raised off the surface. When I put it onto the board that we're actually going to be gluing it to, you drop the letters fall all the way through, but it still stays within the template itself, and you can move it, it won't slide out of that. And so once you drop it through, this will no longer stick to the base. It's a safer way to do it. This was such a tight fit, I could probably have cut a toothpick that was really small and then fit it on both sides here, but I guess I was lazy and didn't do so. So I put in all the letters. We'll show you what we did one by one. All right, everything's painted, it's dried, and we're ready to go. We're gonna add this to the plaque and use a little painter's tape just to hold it in place so it doesn't slide when we're actually gluing it. Glue it on here, pull it off, and everything will be in place. Let me show you how that's done. All right, as a finish, I recently like to use this particular polyurethane on some of the projects that we do. There's different brands out there. I'm not sure that the polyurethane for this is any different from the other one that I normally use, but the key thing on here I found is this nozzle. I have not seen a nozzle function like this on any of the other cans. This one here sprays it out like a air compressor sprayer does, where it's not just straight pinpoint, it does a line, it's clear, a very quick wipe off, and it keeps the nozzle clear. I don't have problems where I'm trying to clean it off, toothpick it out the next time I use it. So for that, I just like the nozzle. I don't really care whether this is good polyurethane or not, but it is. All right. And I am not sponsored by them. I do like this, but it sprays on really well, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Now, each time we do this, you're gonna need to do at least 3 coats to give it solid protection. The more you do, the more the prettier it's going to become, but it's going to take a lot of time on that. We just want to apply something so that it protects the wood and gives it a nice look. Okay, so the first coat has been applied. Now, when you apply polyurethane or probably any other finishes, you're going to notice that things probably bubble depending on the type of application you use, whether it was spray, whether you use a brush or whatnot. It can be slightly bumpy. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sand this down with a very fine sandpaper, clean it off, make sure that all the dust and whatnot is gone before we apply the next layer. And you'll find that once you do the second layer, you're not going to notice those bumps sticking the next time. So you may or may not have to sand this as much each time, and after each layer, it goes on smoother and prettier. And so we're going to go ahead and sand this and then apply the second layer to it. And here's the final result. Okay, now I have to admit, I am not a fan of painting. I like using different stains to represent colors. If you've seen me make US flags and Hawaiian flags, although they have red, white, and blue, I don't actually use red, white, and blue. We use different shades of stains that make the mind think of the three different colors. And I think it brings out the wood grain, and it's actually beautiful. So I never really was a big fan of painting. The customer wanted this one to look like their actual logo, so I figured I would give it a try, and don't let them know I like this. It really came out nice. It's very pretty. And don't get to see some of the grain, but the grain does still come through, but the contrast on these colors, and don't ask me what color they are. Anyhow, the contrast of the colors that are on the original logo, they actually came through really well. We're really happy. Hopefully you can use this video as a lesson to make a plaque for yourself and maybe start out your own business, as we said at the beginning. That's all for today. Next week we'll see what we have to do. We have a few reviews, product reviews to do, and a few other projects that have to be done in the house, and we have a lot more of different plaques and whatnot that we're working on, and we think I'm going to show you on how we do those. Although the process is similar, each one is a little bit different, and I'll show you how I work with the customer, come up with designs, put them all together, cut them out, and assemble them, and see what we can do. So until we meet again, bye-bye.